America. Welcome to our knowledge with the messenger. I have healthcare. I have little index cards because I don't have money like that. I've been spending a lot of time on this channel and I'm reaching people, but I'm just going to come out and say it because I feel that this is also my duty as a human being. Through having the talent to be able to speak to people, from being a musician and a stage performer, and speaking at meetings and all that good stuff, motivating people, helping people. Again, today, in Massachusetts, we have over 174 deaths. As May 13th, today is May 13th, I know it is America. And Trump's been faking the counts. Again, he's faking the counts, purposely undercounting, Still may never get an accurate testing because that's not Trump's game. Let's move on, folks. The pandemic is extremely disastrous as I send out my respects to Cenk and Anna. Especially Anna. Her mother's sick on she was on TYT today giving another awesome broadcast. And her mother's sick, so let's keep in mind the prayers, It's an extremely disastrous pandemic. And out in Massachusetts, America, don't sleep on it for a second. We've been having public sectors of state level donating PPE because, unfortunately, again, your federal government has failed to help. You failed government. Again, America, we need to keep in mind we're reaching out in public sectors because they can't count on their fucking federal government. So as they're reaching out to public sectors, I'm sure they're furloughing these hospitals. They're demanding tax. They're demanding payment back. Because that's how capitalism in this country has always gone. And for once in our fucking miserable existence in progress in time and space, we cannot put capitalism aside to help our fellow human beings. Or include it somehow, because I understand that the economy is important. That's something I'm not debating. Because that's how we exist. But this is ridiculous, America. Ridiculous. We got Donald Trump, again, as of today, tweeting in California, the Democrats are trying to compromise the election. Because they're trying to set up voting booths because they don't know what the fuck to do. Do we do mail or do we do booths? Because of the lack of leadership in Washington. The reason why I'm writing on business cards, America, is because I don't want to mess up anything, and I like to stay as explanatory as I can to my fellow American citizens because I do not have the money or, again, the time. So I do the best I can for the American people. Almost 70% of this country before COVID-19 had no access to health care. Now it's doubled. Multiply 87 million Americans and double it. 30,000 people were dying a year. Doubled now since the pandemic for the lack of decent healthcare, while Jared Kushner is in charge of nothing, has no idea what he's doing, hopes by December that we'll have adequate testing and a vaccine for the coronavirus. That's funny, America, because he just fired the person behind the vaccines again. As I read on, America, I'm going to keep it very honest with you tonight, because I believe this needs to be said. Since we cannot get access to decent congressional seats, Senate seats in our government, and we can't trust our people in power and our leaders at this moment in time, I think it's time that we realize that being the people that we are, progressing as we have been, there's ways that you could govern in your communities until we can finally set up a government in this time that we can work with, that we can trust, that is obviously living in reality. Because again, America, you have Republican senators and Democratic. You have a government of Republicans and Democrats that are not in touch with reality on either side. Cannot come to any sort of agreement. With this $3 trillion bill Pelosi wants to smoke a blunt on and live in fantasy land, there's no reasons in this $3 trillion bill, America, that they would agree to pass this. When you're putting weed dispensaries in there and all this other unnecessary shit, when all reality, we need a bill of structure, we need a bill of progress, we need a bill that's not only handing Americans money, but a bill that's going to put jobs back in the economy, in the communities. We're up to almost 40 billion Americans without a job. We're going to open up schools that have no idea how to train our kids because they've been out for 2 months. Called my congressman the other day, America, coming up with an idea. This is what I do on my free time, America. I'll be honest with you. I decided to actually tell the public school system in New Bedford, you would get better results in kids wanting to learn to be future men and women of this country, of progress, if you set up accounts with all the students to make sure that if they want to go to further education, you're going to pay them a certain hour, and like an hourly wage, and by the time they graduate, they can take this certificate or this check appointed by the public school system or the education department, wherever you are, and they can go on their happy fucking way. But no, America, we're too busy hoping that Trump will do the right thing. And on the bishop and, God rest his soul, on all of you religious fanatics, and I say fanatics because I want you guys to try to hear this, because I myself am a very spiritually intact person, okay? I believe in the universe. I believe in vibrations. I'm going to tell you something right now, folks, and I want you to hear it. Faith doesn't cure. Faith does not cure. Medical science cures sickness. I want you to look at it this way. You think you have symptoms or you're really sick, and the power of prayer, let the power of prayer drive you to the hospital room or the doctor that you need to see. Treat you. Because again, America, faith doesn't cure sickness. Faith brings you to the cure of sickness. You gotta go. I'm seeing all of this, America, and I have one thing to say. We need to get it together. Don't vote for Biden. Don't vote for this one. Don't vote for that one. Again, we should be establishing our state governments to govern in our communities, because once again, our government cannot be trusted and is doing nothing for the American people. They're pushing to get the economy open because taking our money and living their lifestyles is the only fucking thing they know. Number two, Mitch McConnell. Let's talk about Mitch McConnell. Let's talk about how we're calling out Obama when he's done nothing. Every leader, current or previous, has every human right to criticize the current leader. That's how you get better leadership. Criticism. If there's no debate, how do you learn? Mitch McConnell, you are a selfish prick. You're an evil individual and have no right to criticize anybody when you're sneaking fucking under the table checks to Kentucky. Because that's what you are, along with the rest of the congressional seats. Not all Republicans, but most of them. Democrats, you can't fight for shit. So here's a fucking piece of word of advice. You come at them like this. You look them square dead in the eye. We have 81 and climbing thousand American deaths in this country, and we need to come to some kind of agreement to start pumping out structural bills to put the jobs back into the economies. A healthcare system which 99.9% of this country can have access to. If you don't want to find a vaccine, you need Obamacare or some kind of universal health care that will unite every fucking person in this country and they have access to a doctor. Stop holding back food. Changing the idea of food. Capitalism needs to change as well. How do we change capitalism? You have to introduce ideas and you have to be open to criticism and you have to discuss amongst yourselves, is there a better way? Yeah, there is. You dumb motherfuckers in Washington are supposed to be doing that. You are supposed to be thinking of each and every American before you set foot and lock and key into opening the economy and opening up the states. Any real leader would open it one by one. Because they're supposed to have all the time in the world, right? Of course they are. They're the leader. They're a world leader and supposed to be leading a very large country. Sending out task force teams to every country to report back the information to the White House on how to open that state. 535 members of government, and not one of them mentioned that. And to end with, I come on here with my stupid little index cards and my bad attitude because evidently none of you in the country want to do this. So I thought I would come on here and show you how to come out from under, come from the bottom, to let everybody know where you are in this country and give them an idea of what the fuck is going on. That's why you're seeing progressive platforms of media America, because we're not progressing. We are failing beyond any comprehension. So feel free to share this with every family member you know. Feel free to comment down below. I thought I would come on tonight and let you guys know exactly, especially in Washington, where my state is and where I'm coming from. Everybody have a blessed night and a blessed tomorrow. Stay conscious and stay healthy. Peace and love.